Where's my inhaler? Gosh. It's been a week. I have to find it. I imagine I just threw it somewhere. Hold on. Bear with me for a sec.
Yeah.
I can't find it. I'll just have to die.
I guess we'll just die then.
I guess I'll just die then. Everyone that's watching this, chalk up, if this is a terrible podcast, just chalk it up to the fact that I didn't use my inhaler before it started. That's the only possible explanation.
Factual information just spoken.
Hold on one sec. I forgot.
When it comes time to our Genshin Impact talk, I'll try and put forth answers before you have the questions. Hopefully that'll help.
There we go.
You didn't have headphones on.
I didn't. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I'm sure it was very funny, though.
It wasn't.
It was extremely funny.
Okay. All right.
Probably the funniest thing I've ever heard Scott say in his entire life.
I'll have to listen back to the YouTube video then. God damn. All right. It is Thursday, October 1st, 2020, and you are listening to the Irrational Passions podcast. I am Alex O'Neill, and finally, we're free. We've been liberated by anime. Joining us in our new liberated world is Mr. Scott Cuthier.
Hello.
And Mr. Tony Horvath.
What's up, fam?
Welcome to the Genshin Impact Fancast. New show from IrrationalPassions.com. Very excited about the future of it. No, we got a great show lined up for y'all. We're going to talk about anime and stuff, obviously. And also, we don't have Nabishin here, and we're sorry. He's moving this week.
It's a great show.
And that's the show. He's moving this week, so I'll allow it. We were recording early because I'm getting my wisdom teeth taken out tomorrow, and Tony had the very good idea of recording before that happens, as opposed to just not recording this week. So we are here, and we've got anime games to talk about. I'm very excited to just sit back and hear about pulls and levers and stuff. I imagine that's how this conversation is going to go. Real quick,
I have to curb your enthusiasm before we start that then.
It's true. Real quick before we start, though, a couple of quick things over on IrrationalPassions.com. Part of why we missed last week was me catching up on editing the podcast. Just one little highlight. We joked about me looping and warping Scott's voice 2 episodes ago for the title of the podcast, Nice Shot. You should go listen to that shit because I put some work into it. Other than that, a couple of things over on IrrationalPassions.com outside of the podcast you might have missed. I mentioned it last time we recorded 2 weeks ago, but new Trip to Nintendo Land is up, recorded and out. Mike and I just one-on-one sat down and talked about the Switch 4K rumors, the Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which we'll talk about a little bit today, Hyrule Warriors announcement, just everything that's been going on with Nintendo over the last month and a half. And that was a really good conversation, so you should go listen to that. Trip to Nintendo Land on your favorite podcast service, or you just find it on IrrationalPassions.com. Quinn Hoffman sat down with Monty Velas from Uppercut to talk about A Fold Apart. They had a review discussion on that. And then also, we've got some cool Viewpoint stuff coming. Hopefully one for Genshin Impact as well, which we're going to be talking about today. And that stuff is over on youtube.com/irrationalpassions. I think at least one went up this week, but we've got a few planned. We're going to sit down and look at a couple of things. Probably Crash 4 in the future, I imagine. I'm actually pretty excited for that. A decent-looking Crash Bandicoot game. And other stuff. So check it out. YouTube.com/irrationalpassions. That's really it. Not a lot going on New consoles are coming out. We're doing something. We're figuring out what we're doing for Extra Life. The usual. So that's it. That's the housekeeping. Let's talk about video games. Tony,
Hey,
what you been playing, man?
so it's been 2 weeks.
It has been 2 weeks.
The last we spoke, I was playing Path of Exile,
Yeah.
which I wholesale stopped playing the League about 2 days after the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had, I played and I was expecting to do the League mechanic a lot more. And then I was like, so here's the thing. I played a whole lot of Harvest League, which is the league before this league, Heist League. And they're both kind of very similar in that you play the game as it was 2 leagues ago. And then you have a side thing to do, like a whole side mechanic to take care of on top of it. And that's cool if I hadn't just spent 3 weeks hardcore playing Harvest. So Heist just kind of felt like I was doing more of the same, and I would prefer to, instead of getting, kind of burnt out on the base mechanics of the game by playing only those for 2 leagues in a row without really a big mechanic to spice it up. I figured I would just wait to the next league, and I also knew that Genshin was coming out this week and figured I would probably like it. So I was like, I'm just gonna give away my gear for this league and wait till the next one. So I stopped playing for this league.
Don't burn out, don't love it too much until you hate it.
I took most of the next week off of playing video games, just did other stuff. Kind of like I'm now fully settled in the new place that I moved into a month ago now. So it's nice not to have like constantly like stuff showing up at the door that I need to like deal with. And like things from Amazon for the house and all that, like that need to be put up or go in their spot, or like hang paintings and stuff like that.
Totally.
To make the walls not look empty. So it's nice to kind of have everything set up, and now it's kind of like falling more into a routine. So did all that, and then Genshin came out.
Hell yeah. Everyone's been waiting since our PAX East content.
Time to pass.
Do you want to save Genshin for the end here?
Yeah, because Genshin is our new segment. Let's be real. If you got any news, after I go with this next one, we should just get right to news, and then
our new segment, Packed with the Impact, Genshin Impact update of the week, where we check in how Scott and Tony are doing in anime. Okay, that's fair. Are you cool with waiting to talk about Genshin toward the end, Tony? All right, then Scott, what have you been playing outside of Genshin Impact?
It bears mentioning that since Genshin came out, I have played no other games than Genshin.
Yes.
So that is all I've played.
So I got Hades.
Yeah. Okay, I got Hades too.
Sick. I'm glad that you guys picked this up. I played it a while ago.
Yes.
And I was hoping that 1.0 would get a lot more people to play it.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Like it definitely has succeeded in that.
Yeah, like I was certainly going to play it as soon as it was available to me.
I also I haven't played it, but I also picked up Rogue Legacy 2 because I was like, I could do that. I'm going to play that.
Yeah, let me know what you think, because Mike and I sat down and
it's going to take a couple of years for that to happen, so it's just going to sit there for a little while.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in that early access, that first build. And I know the first major update for Rogue Legacy 2 is this month, is October. So
nice.
But yeah, Mike and I looked at that a while ago. So yeah, totally.
So Hades.
Yeah, what do you think, man?
Man, this game is really good.
This game is very fucking good.
Like off the bat, the first thing that I noticed about it, because Tony just come off talking about Path, I was like, this is how I wish a Path and Diablo game controlled.
Okay.
So after like my first couple hours with it, I loaded one of those games up. It was Path. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't. So I was just making sure that I was like, hold on, is there something I can do to make that happen? And the answer was no. It's just fundamentally not how that
tight
work.
They're top down. So
they're more like built around that mouse and keyboard scheme. I think.
Then I was like, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna go back to it. So I did that. I think it took me 4 runs to beat the game the first time.
Damn! Wow.
Because basically, it's my first run, I died at the first boss. My second run, I died in Elysium, the third area.
Whoa.
My third run, I got past all of
Was
those
it
points, but I'm using a
was it
different
to the
weapon
big
each
boy?
time because I got enough keys to go do that because I just gunshot keys.
Yeah. What boss did you get stuck on the second time
Second time,
or the third
I
time?
no third time I died to the Elysium boss.
Is
The
that
fourth time I just got this OP run with the Chaos Shield.
nice? Okay.
Yeah, shield
So
is
it's
OP.
like it's like still that's the most OP I've ever been. Like just for example, it's when you're out of what's it called?
The Godhood meter.
No, not the Godhood meter. Although I did have invincibility from that.
Ooh.
So I got an invincibility from the Godhood
Who,
meter.
who's who's?
It's, Death Defiance. When you're out of Death Defiance stacks,
Yeah.
I had a heroic version that healed me forever. Like I think it's 5-6 HP every second I was out.
Whoa.
So it's like my health was like it wasn't like a slow read. It was like a slow regen, but it's not. It was like fast enough to us to where if I bull rush and I just hold out in a defensive stance,
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to hit me before
Like you
that,
heal.
that it just regen.
Oh, that's sick, dude.
And I got that like in the fireplace. I keep
Asphodel.
forgetting out what's names because I know the first place name is
Tartarus. And then Asphodel, and then
Asphodel. There we go.
and then Elysium. Those are the only areas I've been to, so I'm very familiar with them.
Yeah. So early on, the first weapon is just bad.
The sword.
No, you're wrong. The sword is good.
I like the sword.
Early on, it's not good. When you unlock Zagreus' crit passive, it's like one of the best.
Oh, the
but like
back.
It puts you in a lot of danger because of how it works.
So do the gloves.
The gloves have 3 times the range.
Yeah, they do. They have a good range.
The gloves have the 3 times the range, and they have more active knockback on. It's they have more mobility in the actual jump.
Mm-hmm.
Uppercut. There we go.
Yeah.
And then they have more active knockback in it. So if you can use your uppercut to get out of something if you dashed into the wrong place.
Okay. Yeah, I like that strat. Okay.
And then you have the increased range, so you can actually make full use of your combo and do that with the sword. If you don't get like an early on damage upgrade, if you don't have that passive damage upgrade, the sword doesn't do that much damage. It's like middle of the road of all things on damage, and then you are right up against them. So early on, especially when you not that great at dodging yet, it put to at least for me, it puts you in too much danger to be considered. Like, especially considering the other weapons you get.
What is your favorite overall weapon? Is it the shield? Because you had that one great.
No, at this point, it's turned around back to the sword.
Okay.
But it's basically because of the aspect of Zagreus that you get when you open up all the weapens. So when you unlock all the weapons, you get to further upgrade them with the blood you get from the first boss.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what I've not quite gotten.
With that, you get the aspect of Zagreus on the sword gives you extra crit damage or a chance of crit. And it's not a small chance either. It's a good chance. And it takes that sword's damage from being not worth using the sword to, okay, this sword is now one of the hardest hitting weapons that you can have just off the bat.
Mm-hmm. It's
at
funny,
the very least in my experience.
It's funny hearing because I don't know what weapon you use, Tony, primarily, if you used a primary weapon when you played, but I feel like I've met people that swear by each individual weapon. There's no viable path without this weapon.
I don't think that. I think they're all good.
No, they're all. That's the thing. Other thing is, all the weapons are good enough at the very least once you get to a certain point in the game with certain things. Like, it's really hard to use the sword when you have no darkness.
Yeah.
So you don't have any base health increase. You don't have any regen to help you with that, or to help you tank any of the early damage.
Yeah, totally.
So being safe should be super high on that priority list.
Yeah.
And like the sword is the most dangerous weapon to use in the game.
Yeah. I have found
That's why I said what I said about the sword.
Sure. I've found only success with the spear. That is the one that
Have you tried the shield yet?
I tried the shield once. I haven't gone back to. I've mostly used the only weapons I've used more than once are the spear and the bow.
The bow gets you killed in the third area.
Okay. Yeah, that's
more often.
That makes sense. Now I've gotten to the third area
because if you don't have piercing, the shield guys are extremely dangerous to try and take care of.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. What do you think of the style, the story, the characters? I don't know if any of this sticks out to you.
Well, that was what I was kind of more on weapons. The reason the shield is so strong is because you were the most mobile with the shield because of bull rush.
Yeah, that bull rush is dope.
And then you are invincible from the front when you're charging it.
Yes, true.
So you can, if you know that somebody's about to hit you, you can immediately just charge into them, negate the damage you are about to take,
and
then you're doing more damage. Like furthermore, your special is really weak with the shield. It's not hard hitting, but if you combine it with Aries' Doom, which does 80 damage after a certain time, just kind of at like a base level.
Yeah.
It increases with rarity. Then you can bounce your shield around to put that pretty hard-hitting dot on people, and then go to town with your physical attacks, or go into a defensive stance with your shield.
Cool. Yeah, I like that.
So that's roughly why that's, at the very least, I consider it kind of broken in comparison to other games.
Sure.
Basically, that combo has single-handedly won me my third win.
Oh,
because I beat it with the shield twice.
Okay, cool.
And I think I did it with the. I think it's more than that at this point. But
yeah, I mean, you beat it on your fourth run too, which is very impressive in my opinion.
I got really lucky on that run.
Yeah,
and I'm not gonna downplay the the assortment of stuff that I got. I mean,
that's the magic of roguelikes, though. You know, you get that lucky run, and it just feels like magic.
Yeah, I didn't get that lucky ever again because I got that on heroic. I got the epic Aries special thing. I got the thing that makes my special bounce around more.
Ooh.
And then I got the power bull rush as well.
Oh, nice.
Which is, if you let go of the bull rush at a certain time, it does 500% more damage.
Yeah, I remember seeing that one.
So I hit really hard. It was hard to get damage to stick to me. And then
you could just hide behind your shield. Yeah.
At a certain period of time.
That's totally
great.
Great.
When you have those three things in common, I don't see how you lose unless you're like throw caution to the wind.
Yeah, that's fair. That's me to be fair.
And then
I'm throwing
on
caution
top of that, I had Athena's call, which makes you invincible.
Okay, it's her call. That's what I was gonna ask next. Is like, which call makes you invincible?
Titans does it too.
Yeah, but it's not as good. I don't think
it can be if you don't have a lot of damage on you.
Okay, good to know.
Because every time you run into somebody, it does like at base 300 damage. So no levels, base rarity. If you get a higher rarity, which is more likely when you get those, at least like a rare, it does 350, so on and so forth. So you can be invincible for at like base damage for like 1,000 damage.
Wow, very good.
So if you don't have a lot of damage on you, and you can be like being invincible for 1,000 damage on a single person, that can be like a good fourth of their health.
Yeah, that's cool. I have to try the shield again. Because keep in mind, like that second run that I did with it too, like I hadn't even seen like a weapon upgrade yet, so it was pretty early on. So
Yeah, it's like with the shield, it's the special is not great until you get something to upgrade it.
mm-hmm.
Simply because it's really weak. The big kicker with the shield is that once you start getting, I'll say a lot of stuff can synergize with it,
Yeah,
and then you're invincible if you so choose.
yeah, the synergy just across Hades is very good, just in general though. There's a lot
Yeah,
of cool stuff you can combine just in the middle of a
and
run.
I hard switched as my favorite weapon to the sword, although I do like the rail gun and I do like the spear.
Okay, I was gonna ask if the railgun's any good at all because I just unlocked that. So
Um, it's very good, but you have to 180 your play style. I would say,
okay,
because unlike the bow, this one has ammo,
yeah, and you have to reload it.
so you have to reload it. Reloading takes time. The special takes time. So it's you are. I would like to say that you have to be more careful than you were in Bastion.
Yeah,
Uh, and in the later ranks, you still run into the problem of the shield guys.
yeah,
So you have to pick up. You have to, as you're going through, you have to pick paths that gives you something to deal with those.
yeah, totally.
Um, um, I I generally like to use Zeus, which
Just
you
in
hit
general.
somebody and chain lightning bounces around.
Yeah,
So that gives you more AoE damage because it's also a single target thing. It doesn't its special is AoE, but when you have you played it with it yet?
no, I haven't played. I just unlocked it, so I haven't.
Okay, so it's a very large AoE that
Yeah,
does
I did the
massive damage.
I did the training thing. So I'm not familiar with the damage, but I like the way it feels.
Oh, okay, but it's very delayed. So especially when enemies start moving faster in
Yeah,
the second stage and on, it's really hard to reliably hit something with it.
yeah,
So if you want to hit this guy who moves around a lot, you might hit this other guy who moves around a lot, but you might take damage for it because you needed to hit the one guy.
yeah. True.
It's situations that I run into it. The good news is that you can dash while shooting,
Okay, yeah,
and it will continue your shot
that's cool
and get a damage bonus for
for dashing.
being a dash attack.
Yeah,
Uh,
cool.
don't double dash to increase your damage.
Yeah, no.
You are standing completely still when you're shooting. You need the dash to move around.
Yeah,
That is the tip I will give with it, but which makes it, which I'd say that's what makes it so much different. With the bow, you're doing a lot of burst damage
yeah,
and you're moving around because getting multiple shots off of your special is a huge nuke.
yeah. The run that I had that like I went way further than I had ever before, like very early on, was with the bow, and I got like the explosive shot upgrade, and it just did so much fucking damage. I think I got something with it too, and it got me all the way to the Hydra after like I'd only gotten through the first few rooms before that. So, but yeah,
Any idea how long that first kill took you, Scott?
Oh, it was over an hour.
nice.
You want to know how long my fastest run is in this game?
18 minutes.
17 minutes.
Oh wow,
Nice.
1 minute off.
My fastest run is I think like 35.
Nice.
Yeah. I was playing with my other friend Alex
Mm-hmm.
back when we played a long time ago, and we were literally like competing with each other to speed run the shit.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
And that was with the spear.
Yeah, I like the spear a lot.
Aspect of Achilles spear.
What is that?
I didn't read that one. What's that do?
After your special, you can retrieve your spear with the rush.
Oh, that's cool.
throw your spear and press a button to dash to the spear.
That's really cool. The spear setup that's been helping me a lot is like the special with like armor, like 400% armor damage, and doing it like twice as fast. The Achilles, or not Achilles, the Hermes upgrade for it. So you're just like bam, 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 and their armor's gone. It's very satisfying.
And then they get staggered again.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I've really enjoyed the spear of all of them. But what do you think of the setting, the story, the Super Giant Games part of it?
So the Super Giant Games part of it is, I would say, most of what makes that game.
Yeah.
Because unlike other roguelikes where they feed you story bits through more or less controlled settings, where the most similar thing that I can think of this is how Rogue Legacy did it with its chapter books.
Yeah.
And that's the most similar I've seen to it.
Yeah, this is like
unlike in that way, you're kind of progressing different parts of the story and different parts of the lore at your own pace.
Yeah.
And then with this game, the story is not done, set, and figured out when the game is over.
Yeah.
When in, let's say, Binding of Isaac, it kind of is. There's more backstory that you'll get for Isaac once you beat the. I'm talking about in Isaac when you beat the game the first time. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm
talking about when you get to the other sections and
like the hell and the heaven endings and stuff like that.
Right.
You see all the bosses.
Once you get that, the story is over. With this, the story is loosely connected by how many times you get to Hades and how many times you meet Persephone.
Yeah.
So, in that, it's a very different feeling of, oh, hey, even though I'm playing this over and over again, I'm still going through the story.
Yeah, it's still like the world is still reacting to me as if I'm playing a single, like a straight through game, which is super, super cool.
Right. And like you're still at a point where you haven't really advanced a whole lot of that stuff yet.
No, I'm most of my characters, like if they're anything, are at like 2 hearts with me, so I haven't seen a lot of where they go.
So and basically getting to the end advances the story. Instead of it being you find bits and pieces of lore strayed around, and then getting to the end is the end.
Yeah.
And it's, if you do it without getting to the lore, you kind of don't understand why that is. You have the end and you're picking up the pieces.
Yeah.
And this, while you're picking up the pieces as you go, getting to the end is the start of the story, especially if you just did it for the first time.
Yeah. I just think that's so cool too. So even like you, who had the experience where you kind of finished it very early on, you still get like that much more out of it as you keep going.
Yeah, and I'd say that's the best part of it, especially like in a roguelike where you can just have that run where you're unkillable, getting to the end without any of the other sort of context with it, and then in other games where that's kind of harder for you to get to the end than this one. That's frustrating.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm glad this stuff stuck out to you. It definitely sticks out to me too, and yeah, it's really great. I mean, like Pyre, which was Supergiant's last game, had like such an interesting way of kind of dictating how the story progressed based on how you play it. So I was really interested to see what the studio would do, trying to create a nonlinear storytelling like aspect in their next game. I just think this is a really, really cool. Totally not what I expected.
I will say, to help you progress,
sure,
because you seem to be struggling a little bit.
A little bit, I'm making progress.
Use your nectars on the gods.
Okay, I haven't done that yet, so
So what they will do is they will give you items that makes the next one appear, either them or Hermes, because Hermes is Speedy Boy.
yeah, Speedy Boy, best boy. Totally.
So if you start the run with one of those, also give it to the shopkeeper.
Don't give them to anyone except for Aphrodite, because let's be real.
That's fair. Let's be real. Aphrodite's the goddess of love for a reason.
That's right. Goddess of we love you.
Yeah. Although Poseidon, no, I'm just kidding.
True. He is water daddy.
Yeah, he is water daddy. But everyone is hot in this game, so you can't go wrong.
Yeah, also true.
If I had to make a recommendation, I would go with either Aries or Zeus. Because, like, just in my experience, those two guys can essentially make runs right off the bat. If you like for the railgun, for the bow, you're kind of missing some AoE damage.
Yeah, the Zeus has definitely made or broken a run for me before.
So if at first you just get chain lightning, your AoE damage problem is solved.
Yeah.
So you get to last just a little while longer.
Yeah. Smart.
As far as Aries go, if you're lacking damage in some sort of way, and you get Doom on the right section, or just his flat, hey, you do 10% more damage now, just right off the bat, then your run becomes, at the start, just that much smoother.
Yeah, true.
Now, to be perfectly honest, I've pivoted off of doing that at first to just take money.
Yeah, but also you've got
because the shopkeeper gives you an item one. Gives you one that you start with 100 gold.
Yeah, I have that. I have that upgraded a little
150.
Bit. Yeah. That one's handy for sure.
But you don't have to use that at the start of your run.
Yeah, you can switch to it.
You can switch the artifacts, and effectively, you should be switching your artifacts.
Yeah, I've been doing that for sure.
So yeah, if you pick up, like, if you go the shield run again, I can't recommend going using Aries to try and go for the special Doom modification, just to say, oh hey, this is some good range damage.
Some ranged filth, my favorite.
And it's AoE range damage.
Hell yeah. Okay, yeah. This is good stuff. I'm definitely gonna take these into consideration when I play again.
And then again, to reiterate, once you use the thing one more time, I would heavily recommend putting your first Titan blood into the Zagreus sword, into Aspect of Zagreus.
Got it.
I don't know if that's why Tony likes the sword, but you'll see what
that's why you like the sword.
After you use your special, you get bonus crit chance on your regular attack.
Yeah.
And then that just puts way more damage in than I think any other weapon can output at the start.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else you've been playing, Scott? Outside of Hades?
No, not really. Just Genshin Impact. So.
Okay, cool. I'll knock out my other games, and then we can talk about Genshin Impact finally. I played some stuff. Spelunky 2, obviously a given. Played probably like 60 hours of that this week. It's disgusting. I play that game like Tony plays Genshin Impact.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that game's great. Still loving it. Definitely. I've made incremental progress week over week. I have a couple of videos of one of my better runs, finding secrets and stuff. Yeah, that game's crazy. We talked about it a lot. I did talk about it a little bit on the Nintendo podcast, Trip to Nintendo Land. Had a little segment on there where we talked about it. Yeah, it's just, especially like playing Hades and playing another roguelike that does speak to me, it's helped me think about what about Spelunky, like, specifically connects with me over other games, you know? I think, like, ultimately it just comes down to, for me, and again, this is personal, just for me. I'm not saying this is true of all video games, but for me, Spelunky 2, I think, just, and the first game to a lesser extent, is just like, this is what a perfect platforming experience feels like to me. Like, these controls, how this responds in these situations, like, this is it. Like, Mario, Sonic, whatever, you know, Hollow Knight, all of it is second to Spelunky in my book. And I think just that I'm not as into platformers as I used to be. I've certainly gravitated away from them, where, like, I think for a time they were probably my favorite genre, like 3D platformers were. And
let's be fair to this, though,
mm-hmm.
because other than Spelunky,
mm-hmm.
there's kind of been a lack of them.
Yeah, I mean, like
to my knowledge, the last, like, great one was Shovel Knight.
Yeah, Shovel Knight's a stellar one too. And it's a good example. And I'm sure I could name some pretty great 2D platformers in the meantime, but, like, there is a specific brand of platformer that is just like, all right, this is going to be the tightest, most satisfying to-play experience you're going to have. And, like, to me, like, 2D Mario to 2D Spelunky, you know, like, no comparison for me. It's Spelunky all day. So, like, yeah, it is just, like, the experience of playing that game is so just purely satisfying to me. And it is unlike anything else. And the kind of gradation of how you get more powerful throughout the game is also very good. And I like in Spelunky 2, now that I've kind of started getting into more of the late game stuff, that they in a cool way, they take a lot of the power away from you at the midpoint and kind of reset you. If you're going for, like, a run where you're getting to, like, the final world, they reset you at a point that makes you really, really have to play very carefully again, like halfway through your run. And it's done way better than it is in that first game. And it's very, very satisfying if you can, like, actually power through. But it's very frustrating when it's not. So I played Mario 3 All-Stars, which came out a few weeks ago, but I finally am here to talk about it. I have a little bit of beef with each game in here, and it sucks that, like, a thing like this that's like, here's Mario 64 Sunshine and Galaxy, can't just be, like, perfect. But of course it can't be perfect. It's just not how Nintendo would do something like this. You know, obviously Mario 64, they did nothing to this game. It's not even 16:9, which is a bummer. I will say, so, like, that's just kind of my beef with that game. I'm not a huge fan of Mario 64. I know I get a lot of shit for it all the time. Not from you guys, obviously, but from other people that don't know what they're talking about. And I think that game plays way better not on an N64 controller, and I still have zero interest in ever playing it again. It's fine. You know, it's a fine old video game. Mario Sunshine looks great, and it's cool. I talked about it a lot on Nintendo Land, but anytime a GameCube game escapes from the prison that is the GameCube, it should be celebrated. Because so few of those games have made it off that platform. Like, even Crystal Chronicles being in the shape and form that it is in is exciting and wonderful and great because it escaped the GameCube, you know? Just like, there's so many great games that you can only play on that platform. And it's a bummer that they haven't gone anywhere else. Like Thousand Year Door, Super Mario Sunshine, you know, just a lot of stuff. But, so it's great that it is off that platform. It looks great. The whole thing where, you know, their analog triggers are used in that game pretty well, where you can, like, lightly spray the flood and then heavily spray the flood, and it kind of it's determined by how hard you're holding the trigger, but it determines some of the moves that you can do. They've essentially mapped the two states of a flood attack to the two shoulder buttons. So if you hold R2, it'll do you can move and spray water, and if you hold R1, you'll lock your feet and spray water, which I was worried about how they were going to do that, and I think it's fine. It works serviceably enough. The thing that's a bummer, and again, only applies to me, And I'm sorry to the people that hate this shit. I know I'm complaining about it here, but is the aiming controls, they uninverted. They were inverted on the GameCube, and there's no option to change it. So it's just like, I was very comfortable with how this game played before, and now I'm not. And again, I know it's specific to me. So that's my little beef with Sunshine. But that game looks great. It is cool to see that game in HD. The art style.
It's funny because the control standard used to be inverted.
Inverted, yeah, in all Nintendo games.
That's not just in all Nintendo games. It's just in general. Like, I know a lot of non-Nintendo, or I remember playing a lot of non-Nintendo games. Just over people's houses that had the PlayStation.
Yeah.
They were just inverted.
Maybe it's like a Japanese development thing. Like, it's just like the status quo back in the day. But, you know, it's whatever. It's not a huge deal.
And then what was it? Call of Duty and Halo changed it?
I imagine when twin stick control games came out, I imagine that just changed it all. But Mario Galaxy, this one, the least beef, I will say. Looks great, plays great. It's super great that, you know, you had to waggle the controller in order to do the spin attack. That's gone. You just press a button now, as you would imagine. The weird thing is there are still like cursor controls, like where you have to aim the cursor and move it around the menu. But there's no cursor. Instead, you have to use the gyro on whatever controller you're using, or the touchscreen if you're in handheld mode. So like I'm on a pro controller and you have to kind of like gyro it around to move this cursor around. It's very uncomfortable. And it's like on the screen unless you like move it off to the side. It's just weird that's there, but you know, it's not, again, not a huge deal. That's the least beef. Otherwise, that game like immediately is like, wow, this just adapted to HD to 1080p perfectly. Looks incredible. Hasn't missed a step. Looks great. Runs great. Music's great. So I will probably end up playing through Mario Galaxy in that collection, but I don't think I'll necessarily spend much time with the other two. But it is a lackluster collection, I think, like especially after stuff like the Spyro remake collection, the Crash remake collection, like this sitting next to them, it's like, all right, this is clearly not a lot of effort was put into this. Not a huge deal, just because like I think those games don't necessarily need a lot of visual updating or changing. But it would have been cool to see stuff like Mario 64 done up and all that. But so I you know, it is to say that this is a great remaster collection that's worth $60 is a lie, but I think if you like those games and you want to play them on Switch, this is a totally serviceable way to do that, and nothing more, nothing less. Which is a bummer. I wish it could have been something amazing and perfect and stellar, and I could wholeheartedly recommend, but it's just a little lackluster. Hades, we already talked about. I think there was something else, but regardless, one of the thoughts that I had with Hades, just before we move on to Genshin Impact and talk about that for 45 minutes, was just that like seeing how this game plays and it obviously plays so well, it's so responsive and all that. Like it really felt like, in a way, it feels like a successor to Bastion, which is the closest playing game similarly. Like Transistor kind of gets into some more strategic territory, and Pyre is like a 2v2 sport or 3v3 sports game.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I didn't know that Super Giant was the one who developed this game.
Oh,
or
this
Bastion. One? I completely forgot who the developers to name it.
Yeah,
and then I was like, I think on my second one, I was like, hold on a second. I know this feeling.
Yeah, this
is Bastion.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's cool because like I think this is everything about this game is like 211. You know, like the clever roguelike storytelling, the powers, the aesthetic, and how the gods and all that play into the boons and stuff that you get. It's all firing on all cylinders, and it just feels cool that they got to make another action game in the vein of something like Bastion. But like clearly they've learned so much since then. So that was 2009, I believe, or 2011, one of the two. So it's been a very long time, and I think they've put out. I haven't spent a lot of time with Transistor, but I think Pyre is like a 10 out of 10, like excellent video game. So it's just cool to see them still killing it, still making cool stuff. So that's it. All right, we can talk about Genshin Impact, y'all. I've only played a couple of hours of this. I like Tony. I'm really curious, like, because you had heard about this game a while ago.
Yeah.
Did you have like an you said that you thought you'd probably be into it, but do you have an expectation of what exactly it was going to be? Did anything about this kind of surprise you?
It was very limited. I was expecting it to be, like sort of Breath of the Wild like.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect it, I wasn't expecting it to be exactly that game.
Yeah.
It really isn't that game.
No.
But it is easy to draw comparisons between the two.
Yeah, it has a lot of similar mechanics,
but
right, like
Right,
before we move on, let's just. A lot of people are making that comparison,
mm-hmm.
and let's just break down that comparison for me. Or let me just. Let's just break down that comparison.
Like you've got your jumping, you've got your stamina bar, you've got your you can climb on any surface.
Yeah, and how many open world games also have that?
I mean, like, this is the whole climb on any surface climbing mechanic of Breath of the Wild is very specific to that game. Like, yes,
there's Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
but which have the same things.
But
I mean, like,
Assassin's Creed
you take a look at it. You take a look at it. It's like with all those things, and it's like, well, yes.
But you can't climb on anything in Assassin's Creed. You can climb on most things, and it's a very, very important distinction. Like there are many times in Assassin's Creed Odyssey where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna climb this cliff face, and sometimes it works, and sometimes I'm just sitting there like holding up and nothing is happening. It's like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. Because these characters will jump miles to get to handholds that barely look like they would work. So Breath of the Wild just dropping the bullshit of like, all right, it doesn't fucking matter. Just go up to a wall and climb. I appreciate embracing that kind of chaos. And I like that this game just does that too. It's like, whatever, we're just going to do that.
Yes. Like in Breath of the Wild, I believe that you can't climb on surfaces that don't make sense.
You can't climb on things inside the palace, but that's really it. Or inside the shrines and palaces.
I mean, you also can't climb upside down.
You can in some places. There's some bridges that you can hang upside down from. But,
okay, I didn't know that. But I know that when you get up to the ledge of a house, it's like, yeah, you can't climb on that.
Yeah, that stuff you can't do.
You're blocked by this house, which now makes it even a little more wonky.
Yeah.
This is in Genshin Impact. I don't know about Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember at this point. It's been a while.
Yeah, there's some more stuff.
But at the same time, it's like of all the open world games, because could essentially be kind of just be written off as a open world game.
Mm-hmm.
It gets to have the comparison to the Breath of the Wild that the other games don't.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's even with those climbing mechanics, you wouldn't do that if the world wasn't the way that it was.
Yeah.
Which is another huge bonus for it.
Yeah. But I want to, just before we get too just off on any individual thing.
No, time to rail back to what you said.
Yeah. But Tony, what was your feeling going into this? Because you've played a lot of it. You clearly are having a good time with it.
Yeah, so I was expecting it to be interesting and something that I could play for a bit and kind of maybe like casually every a couple hours here and there, be like, just go and mess around in the world. I didn't really know a lot about it, and I purposely left it that way. I didn't watch any like Twitch streams of people who were playing like the closed betas or anything like that on purpose, because I feel like these kind of games like is all about exploring the world and experiencing everything around you.
Totally.
So if you've seen it before, it's less fun to then discovering it for yourself.
Yeah.
So I tried to get enough information to know what was like what the game was about, but without seeing too much of it. And I ended up seeing a bit of the game before I played, but I mostly went in blindly on a recommendation from a friend. So a guy who I watch play video games a lot and I've become pretty good friends with was like, hey, you should probably play this game. I think you'd like it. And I was like, that's all you needed to say, my man. So I got in there, and the game pretty good, man.
It is pretty good.
But yeah, that's how I ended up there. It came out on, I want to say like Friday. It was either Thursday or Friday of last week. No, sorry, it came out Monday of this week. My days are all mixed up. And so I adjusted my sleep schedule to be the wrong way the day before, because it was supposed to come out at 10
A man
p.m.
after my own heart, dude.
So I adjusted my sleep schedule in fashion that I woke up at 9 p.m.
Yep. I did this for Kingdom Hearts 3. I want you to know this is the only game I've ever done this for.
Yeah. This is a pretty common thing for me now with like Path of Exile and such, just being ready for these like marathon sessions. I didn't expect it to last that as long as it did, but so I got ready for Genshin, and then I got up and they actually released the servers went live an hour early.
Oh, nice.
So I got up and then immediately the servers were open. So I got on and started playing. And played straight for 22 hours. And then I slept for 6 hours. And then I slept for another 6 hours. And then I played for like 18 after that.
Nice. Totally recommended to the general consumer,
Yeah, and by the end of that, my body wasn't happy with me.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I kind of forgot. My body basically didn't exist for 3 days. It was pretty sick.
Now I know you've since reset and all that, but how far did you in this run? Like, how far? What was your adventure level or whatever that you got to?
By the end of the third day, I was adventure rank 27, I think.
Okay.
Which all of the content that is currently available in the game gets you to about 31 and a half.
Okay.
And like they get like exponentially harder to get because you when you get that high up, there aren't quests to give you half of a level, anymore. So you're going strictly off of what's available in the world to give you experience. But so I played that account up until today, and by the end of yesterday, I had probably clocked maybe like 85 hours in the game. Maybe closer to 90. I don't remember. It's been like only 4 days or something.
Yeah.
But it's literally just been Genshin and sleep for me. I'm on vacation this week from work, so it's been a long week of just playing Genshin. And I got to adventure rank 30, which is just close to that maximum, about 30 and a half. I collected all of the collectibles on the map, like the little things that you pick up to upgrade the shrines. I got all of them.
That's so many.
There's 65 in the first area and 120 in the second.
Damn.
So I got all those, finished all of the main and side quests, and a huge chunk of all of the interactable mini games and stuff around the world.
Nice. What do you think?
It's a really good game, man. I wouldn't necessarily recommend rushing the content like I did.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really rushing. Here's the thing about Genshin is it's built to game. It is a single player game. Like there's no PvP, there's no community stuff other than they have the option for co-op. There are no leaderboards. You're not competing against anyone. It's just a single player experience. So if you do it like I did and play that whole single player experience in like 4 days, then it would make sense to run out of content eventually, which is kind of the point I was getting to.
Yeah.
But the game is also built to be a gacha, and we'll talk about that as well. But after playing for almost like something like 80 hours or whatever on that account, I basically collected all of the possible currency that you get to roll the gacha naturally.
Pull the lever, if you may.
Yeah, without having to spend for it. I did that for a while. And then I pulled a bunch of stuff, and I ended up getting a bunch of duplicates of one character that I already had. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to restart. Which I wouldn't recommend. I think it's a dumb idea, and I don't recommend anyone do this. Okay. I'm just an insane person.
Yes. But to be fair,
I want to make that very clear.
Anyone that's listened to this podcast before knows you are the gacha whisperer. And you're like, all right, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do it the one way I know how to do this. So I'm I know this isn't like a broadcast for everyone needs to play like this, but yeah, I get it.
Right.
I understand for you.
But what I'm saying is it's not. I wouldn't recommend that anybody do that. Like it also is not a negative thing on the game that I decided to do that. It's just a me thing.
Yeah.
It was that I decided that it was worth my time to replay those 80 hours of the game in order to like guarantee a better start, because when I first started playing, I didn't re-roll or like try and get a good account. I just went with what they gave me, which wasn't good, and my RNG for the whole time wasn't very good. So you can play, obviously, and I did play the whole game with just whatever units you get, and that's fine. And using the ones that you come with the game is fine. You don't need like a bunch of 5 stars, which is the 0.6% pull rate cards, characters that you can get. You don't need them. They're fun. Their kits are pretty cool, and they're pretty unique and like fun to play, but you don't need them. And I did all content in the game with characters that like I didn't have to spend any money at all.
I like part of what I wanted to ask both of you guys was like, how gross does it feel? It sounds like not that gross.
So before we get into that, let's just because I wanted to do my experience.
Yeah.
Before we got into more of those mechanics,
the gotcha stuff. Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I was in. Don was like, "Hey, you should play this game." I was like, "Yeah. The dude I watch plays that game. I'll play that game."
Yeah.
So I was like, much more loose than Tony. I didn't know that this game was supposed to be like Breath of the Wild. That's how.
Okay, sure.
I was like, so when I got into the game, and it's like, oh, this is what the game is.
Oh, this is familiar.
That's nice.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, this is fun. Looks great too. It's worth noting. Like, this is
it looks very good.
Gorgeous fucking game.
So I did the pre-registration the day that you were able to pre-download the game.
Nice.
And I knew that you could pre-download the game because my boy Tony over here had me covered. And then, he also told me that the game was out when it was out, because I thought it was coming out just the next day. Not 9 p.m., not this 10 p.m. So I just thought it was the next day.
Yeah.
So he was like, hey, Genshin's out. And I was like, all right, let me try it.
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
And I was very pleasantly surprised. Well, I'll put it this way. I was very indifferent to the opening scene of the game.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And I was seeing the anime shit.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? That's not bad.
To be fair, the opening of this game is like the opening of a Fire Emblem game. It is fucking anime as hell.
I have not loved a character as fast as I have loved Paimon in a long time.
I love Paimon too.
It's the best emergency food I could have asked for.
What is with the Paimon hate, dude? Can you explain this to me, Tony?
The voice. That's it.
I know, but
the voice is perfect for her.
The voice. Are we broken, Tony, because we like this character?
No, she's great, and
I would say so just for the voice. The voice fits the dialogue, but I think that this thing being an actual child is what people don't like.
Yeah, sure. It's like a star child, dude. It's the space kid, whatever.
Yeah, it's very wholesome.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, I fucking love Paimon.
Yes.
She's great.
Paimon seems great.
She's like the right amount of stupid, to make it really funny. Without being too
I like the character too, but just off the bat, I was like, I'm not sure I'm gonna like this person. But then I started reading some of the dialogue and started hearing some of the lines. I'm like, nope, they did it right.
What do they explain where Paimon comes from? Because if I remember correctly, okay.
So here's
it just kind of like cuts to some amount of time later, and Paimon's there, right? Like,
yeah. So let's circle back real quick to kind of give the scope of 2 regions so far of this. Basically, like each one is, I guess the total size of the game right now is about the size of the Breath of the Wild map, just in a slightly different shape rather than a giant circle.
Yeah.
If you include the parts that are turned off.
Okay.
No. I'm talking about what's available right now.
Okay.
Is about the size of the Breath of the Wild map. or maybe like a little bit smaller, maybe like 2/3 of it.
Yeah, that map's big, so
If
the second zone, by the way, is huge compared to the first one.
okay.
Yeah,
I figured
so,
if
like,
it had like 120 versus like 60 or whatever collectibles in it.
but like Breath of the Wild's map is not that big, to be honest.
I think it's pretty big. It's big enough.
It's big. It's big enough, but it's not a huge map. If you could like think about the scale of Ganon's castle and then how much space is on each side of it, you know,
sure,
it's a giant square. If you move some of that square around into different sections, you get about the size of what's currently available in this game.
Okay, fair. Is there a good biome diversity? I know that's like a weird question, but
so right now there are two. Right, there's the first one that you started. It's like grassy plains and stuff like that, windswept mountains and that kind of thing. Because you're in the Valley of Wind, right, under the protection of the Wind God, basically. The second section that we go into is the domain of the Earth God.
Okay.
And it's a very like Chinese lore inspired area.
Okay, I saw some of this when I played earlier this year, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, some like you get into like the big harbor city at the bottom of the zone.
Yeah,
and it's like very traditional Chinese architecture that all like like the parade style, like Walking Dragon, that era, Mulan era Chinese, that kind of thing.
Sure.
If you think of like that kind of era of Chinese history, that whole town embodies that, and this whole region is set up that way. It's very it like the first one is very mountainous, being the Earth region. Also contains the highest point so far available in the world. But anyway, like after that, the next place that we're going to that will be added to the game, which is being added in rumored 11 days.
Whoa.
So very fast update schedule.
Yeah, that's soon.
For some of this content. Is supposed to be a really big, the Electric God is next. So who knows what that's going to be like. Probably more deserty, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Just from, stereotypes of previous games and how they've depicted a more lightning or electric styled zone.
Yeah, totally.
But between the first two zones, you get the really like bright and deep greens in the windswept part, that you start in where Mondstadt is, the main city. And then when you get into, you get the more of the ambers and the greens, like, and that kind of thing. It's kind of more of like a fall region rather than a high summer region. When you're coming in the mountains, it's just significantly more mountainous. So you get a lot more verticality in the second zone. So they do have, obviously they have the next one planned, which I'm guessing is probably desert-like. If you look on the map below the first area, you can see like icy mountains. So, and we know that there's going to be, a cold zone. The way that the world is set up, there are going to be 7 major regions because there are 7 major gods, one for each, and one for each type of element, and then some other stuff. And then, from what I've heard, once we've gone to all 7 of those regions, or maybe even before we've gone to all 7 of those, we as players will leave this planet and go to another one
because that's
for whatever reason.
That's kind of like the shtick of the story. Yeah,
be this years in advance or whatever. That is apparently future projected plans for what they're doing with the development of this game. So and the reason why I drew that comparison to the size of the 2 maps, right there, we have 2 out of 7 regions, and it is already almost the size of, if not the actual size of, the total space of Breath of the Wild's map.
Yeah. So it's going to be
think
big.
about that. It's just it's huge.
Yeah, it's going to be very, massive. Very big by the end of it.
Right.
That's cool.
Anyway, continuing on, because I didn't want to kind of get into that until I had my little playthrough.
Yeah.
To get to where I was at. So I'm in the game. I, didn't like Paimon until I get to the city. And I was like, oh, nope, they did it right. It's good. I got to the city. I was like, all right, you know what? I think I'm probably going to be sticking with this game for quite a while. Because I saw the Breath of the Wild mobile camp. Because they take you through one of those. They've got a decent story going on. By decent, I mean it's interesting enough to want to follow.
Yeah.
it's interesting enough to not skip the dialogue.
Yeah,
and then the dialogue's good.
Yeah,
because I'm separating the two.
Also, a lot more of it is voice acted in 4 languages than I expected.
Yeah, there's a lot of VO in this game.
Yeah, and there are some very. You know what? If you get to the point of where you're doing the quests at adventure rank 29, you will recognize a very recognizable voice actor playing the character that you're doing the quest with, and it was a fucking trip for me, dude.
Excellent. I like that. That's all the way at the end too.
Yeah, it's actually the character that this voice actor plays, which the voice of Shido. Very recognizable.
Yeah. That dude's got a very recognizable voice.
Yeah, I was like, what? Why Shido in my game, yo?
Yo, who's this motherfucking political monster over here?
Yeah, right. And it immediately made me suspicious of this man that I was doing the quest with, because he always plays evil characters.
Yeah, it's true. He's got that villain voice.
But he's just he's typecast as a villain, and it really kind of fits his voice. But anyway, he that character is rumored to be like the new playable character that will be added to the gacha and be able to be drawn to be used in this next update that's coming up. So there's a lot of cool stuff like that, and it's going to be weird having Shido controlling Shido,
yelling around, talking about anime or whatever. Fireball.
All right, come on back to it.
How far did you get, Scott? Yeah.
So I continue to play the game just for the rest of this week up to this point, and I'm having a little trouble just clearing things, and it's not I'm losing; it's taking too much time. I lose to a time quest. I level up my weapons. I beat it in just the amount of time.
Yeah.
So I end up hitting adventure rank 18, and then here we are, and I'm like, all right, you know what? He may have played for 85 hours, but
I'll play for 95 hours.
I'm willing to bet that my rolls were so bad that at the pace I'm going, if I don't get a lucky roll soon, it's going to take me close to 115 hours as to what it took him 85.
Yeah.
And I am not as high on this game as he is.
Yeah.
And I know that. So I'm like, if it takes me as long to get things done, it will get to a point where I will do the dailies and maybe could do one collectible. And then I'll be like, that's my 2 hours.
Yeah.
Where in reality, that should take you 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just that my rolls were good for the start of the game, but in the second area, you have to switch your main character's element or have Venti to comfortably get a lot of the collectibles.
Yeah.
The starter character loses all of his damage synergy when he switches to the physical one.
Yeah, okay.
So my damage fell off a cliff. So what was taking me a while before, what required me to dump resources into things I didn't want to dump resources into, now became hey, you got to push it to the next level and or reroll. And all things considered, the catch-up mechanic for this game is every 10 pulls, you're guaranteed a 4-star.
Yeah.
Every 90 pulls, you're guaranteed a 5-star.
Jeez. That's a lot of pulls.
Yeah, and then
it is, but this is also guarantees. In other words, they're trying to tell you, hey, within this amount of pulls, you should be hitting a 4-star before then.
Is it possible to not, or
no?
Okay.
No, it's a pity system.
It's a pity. That's the thing. That's the pity system.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a you got unlucky. Sorry, bro. System.
I got unlucky when I averaged out. Even though that account started with 2 4-stars right at the beginning, at the end of 53 pulls, I had exactly 5 4-star pulls.
The bare minimum.
the bare minimum. and I got
3 duplicates.
No, it was 2 duplicates. So I
Okay.
got 3 unique characters and 2 duplicates, and none of them synergize with each other. They're not terrible characters, but 2 of them were also units I would have gotten for free anyway. You get Barbara for free once you hit a certain threshold, and you get Jingling once you hit rank
20.
Rank 20.
Mm-hmm.
So I had almost all dud pulls because some of these characters are really good, but they did not pull any of the extra synergies that I needed to make them work. At the very least, not early.
Damn.
So it was like, yeah, you know, it doesn't take that long to re-roll. Like it's tough in comparison to gacha games.
Mm-hmm.
But given in other gacha games, it's you do the opening for like 10 or so minutes, and then you pull like a set, and that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe 2. With this, you effectively get 3 sets. So time to time, I would say it's the longest single account rolling, but it is not the longest. I would say pull density. I'll just put it that way.
Sure.
It's pretty good in that regard.
So now you're restarting fresh. Tony's restarting fresh. How many restarts do you think both of you all will have gone through by this time next week?
No, 0.
0. That's what I'm hoping for.
He will have gone through 0 because of what he eventually got.
Mm-hmm.
Just he got 1, the guy that makes
collectible farming easy.
Well, it's not just that. He does that. He also
He's
is
the number 1.
He's a super.
Yeah.
He's a super support character, and support characters and somebody who just does buffs or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's once you get an element on somebody, anybody who buffs that element or does damage off of that element is kind of considered a support character.
Okay, got it.
So long as you're not keeping them out after you do it. So it's you drop lightning or fire on somebody, you whip out Venti, and you nuke them off the face of the earth.
How many redos did it take you to get where you are now, Tony?
Like 8.
Jeez. That's like it. How long does it take to get to that point, right? That you're gonna know whether or not this is gonna go your way.
30 minutes.
30 minutes. Okay, that's not terrible.
Yeah,
It's
not bad.
Again, it's not terrible, especially because you get the amount of pulls that you do.
Mm-hmm. But it is 3 times as long as like mobile gacha games.
Mm-hmm. So it's like in terms of
the difference is that you can't emulate this because it's a PC client. I mean, you might be able to do it on PC, but I don't know.
It's on Android and iOS as well, so.
Right,
you can get it to work, but I at max I could do 2 clients.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like it wouldn't work very well, but in mobile games, like I can reroll 10 accounts at the same time.
Yeah.
One of the biggest gripe that people have had with this game, and we can't really beat around the bush. It is a gacha game.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you do have to pull to get the characters. However, the characters that they give you for free at the beginning of the game, if you invest in them, are strong enough that you can clear all of the content, albeit not as powerfully as with some of the better characters that are higher rarity or the actual like ones that you'd pull 4 off of the banners, which makes sense because they want you to pull on the banners.
Yes.
It's how they're making the money to support making all of this crazy content that they're going to make this massive world with.
Yeah.
And on that note, the only thing that you're really getting, buying is pulls if you want characters. And there's no pressure to do that other than just if you want them.
Yeah.
There's no PvP, no leaderboards, anything like that. So I think that it's an okay system. And you can't really pay to win in a game that you can't win.
Yeah.
That's
what I was thinking too. It's like you can make it easier for yourself, but in some cases that might not even be the best way to play it,
Really, right. It's pay to waifu, not pay to win.
Oh my god!
If you want the cool flashy unit, like you can pay to try and get it, or re-roll to try and get it. I see you writing down a title.
Yeah. That's too good not to.
But you can, otherwise, you can just go with whatever. I did that on my first account, and the only reason why I didn't is just because I didn't stick with it, even though I absolutely could have. There's no reason why I couldn't have just kept playing on that account. It was that I only re-rolled because I knew that I'd be able to do it again, and I wanted to try my luck at getting better.
Yeah, you wanted a couple of 5-star characters. I get it.
Right,
rather
and it's
than
like
a couple of the same one.
Yeah.
As I was saying, I could have kept playing on that account.
Mm-hmm.
But like I got worse luck than Tony did on his first account.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting here like, yeah, I could just have a better account. And at this point, I think I re-rolled once in between now and then. And with the 30 rolls instead of the 50, I already have a better account. First re-roll.
Yeah.
Just to give you an inkling of how not very good my accountants were.
Yeah.
I put 8 hours into my first account and had that many pulls, and I probably could have collected another 6 within like 5 minutes. But
so, how many like pulls do you get within those 30 minutes? That kind of
about 30.
Okay.
Yeah. So you get 10 when you hit level 5, 10 stones that you can use for a pull, and then when you hit level 7, you're given another 10 for free. And just from the rewards that you get between there, you are able to get another set plus a couple extra. So you get like 32 or 33 pulls or something like that.
Okay. Now, do you do the 10 at the same time, or do you do one at a time?
Technically, I mean, if you
It's
really
better
want
to do one at a time.
If you really want to talk about this, I could give you math on why doing one at a time is better than doing 10 at a time. But
all you got to tell me is that the math supports one at a time. I don't need to know the
math
specific.
supports one at a time.
Okay.
But
yeah, you can shorthand it.
Only in the means that you will get more 4 stars on average if you pull one at a time, but the rate at which you get 5 stars will not change.
Got it. That makes sense. As much as it can make sense.
It's like a small difference.
Yeah, it's like I would say it's like a dumb mistake they made. Basically, rolling the 10 no matter what resets your pity counter.
Got it.
Right, and if you get a 4-star, that resets your pity counter. So you could get 3, and then get a 4-star, then have your pity counter reset then. Or if you just pull all 10, you got it on your third pull, but because you did 10 pulls, the 6 that came after it, or 7 that came after it, don't count towards your pity counter.
Got it. Okay.
So basically, that's why you will get marginally more 4 stars on average based on numbers, but your 5 stars won't change at all.
Yeah, so that's what you're going for. Got it. Any other thoughts, feelings? Anything else you guys want to say about this?
It's a good game.
It's good. I think it's like
and more to the gacha point. Getting new characters, what I would say, is effectively switching weapons in Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
The detraction from this is that it's a gacha game. The bonus to this is, well, instead of just getting a new attack, you also get 2 new abilities with your new weapon.
Yeah, you get more than just one thing. And like they have skill trees as well, right? I don't know how different those are.
Not exactly.
They both have 2 abilities and their attack set.
Got it. Okay. I haven't unlocked the constellation stuff.
The constellations is when you get dupe pulls, you upgrade some of the effects that your abilities do. And then your talents are the other side, where it's when you level up, you get to put points in your talents.
Yeah.
Or upgrade. You get to start upgrading your talents.
Yeah. Interesting. Cool. Yeah. I mean, from what I played, I just played the first 2 hours. Maybe I did a couple of those little temple things where you get the other characters. I like that. You get 4 characters just pretty early right off the bat. That are all pretty different.
Instead of relying off the pulls to say, yo, you pulled what you pulled, you get your main character, and you pulled what you pulled. Yeah, they give you 3 extra they're not bad characters.
No, they're cool. They have diverse playstyles too.
Well, Kaya's pretty bad.
Okay, fair, but
and Amber's also pretty bad.
Amber's not good.
Amber, I would say is a very useful character for running around the map.
Is really bad at everything other than having fire on her arrows. That's it.
Fire arrows do something.
I mean, but I literally the big meme with Amber is just everybody leaves her at level 5.
Oh,
because
poor
all
Amber.
you ever do with Amber is pull her out when you need to
burn some bushes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically,
otherwise,
in combat, she shoots a fire arrow at something, and then you use your main character's wind ability to blow the fire up.
Nice.
And that is how I was dealing all of my damage. And then when the fight lasted longer than that, I switched my water character and Kaya out so I would freeze them, and then I would rinse repeat.
Yeah.
But we didn't really brush over it, but there's a lot of really interesting mechanics that make the combat a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to craft parties over all of these different elements, and each element interacts with other elements in a different way. It'll even interact with each element in a different way.
Yeah.
So you can kind of really create your own combos and take control over how you're fighting the enemies.
Yeah, and I like that the UI will tell you what your elemental spread for your party is. It's
for sure.
This is what you've got, this is what you can do, which I think is cool.
Your party matchup gives you different passive bonuses as well. I enjoy that.
Yeah, it's cool. It's more thought to the idea of having a 4-character party, but you are switching between all of them. It's how I imagine games like Suicide Squad, which is Rocksteady's next game, which they've kind of talked about, how that might work, but seeing it implemented here is really cool, and it's done well.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this at the very least, after everything we've said, this game is free, so you could just try it,
right? It's free. You're allowed to compare it to Breath of the Wild,
mm-hmm.
and then it's solid beyond that.
Yeah, it has its own stuff that it's doing that's really cool.
Its biggest detractor at this point is that it's a gacha game. The voice acting is pretty good all across the board.
I don't think this game works if you sell it for $60 though.
Yeah, the way it's formatted, certainly not. But I kind of almost wish there was
if in 2 years' time,
True.
the content in 2 years was out in this game, all the characters were in as collectibles,
all 7
so
regions
on and so
or whatever.
forth,
Yeah, totally.
I would have bought this game at $60.
Sure.
Yeah,
it's given what I've heard about the updates that I know about.
Mm-hmm. I do, and I this is true of most free-to-play games, and I know I might be in the minority on this. I do kind of wish there was a pay $30 and get 8 characters and kind of just your set if you just want to play this.
Right.
But there is no option like that. But that is also potentially something they could add in the future.
Yeah, they market the same way mobile games do, and they're planning to support their game with that monetary method. And obviously, skins are going to come for the characters eventually, and I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Because normally in the games that I play that are like this, my waifus are 2D PNGs.
Yep.
In this game, they are very detailed 3D models, and it's great.
Yeah, and I like that also all the characters have a ton of detail to them. They're very well made characters. Yeah, they look cool, they sound cool, they play cool. Yeah. It is as much as a quote unquote waifu game is, but they're all cool characters too,
I mean, there are husbandos in there too.
Yeah, if you want husbandos, don't worry. That the dude with the red hair that showed up in a cutscene.
Yeah, man, holy,
he's fucking cool. I have a little bit of a crush.
Luke, I'll be waiting.
Yeah, I have a crush on that guy for sure. So, cool. Anything else, guys?
That's it. Unless you want to talk more about Genshin, because that's literally all I played.
No, I think we covered.
Yeah, if you've got any more Genshin questions, or if you want to pry into any of the systems,
I think we've been talking about it for 45 minutes, so I think we're covered. But I mean,
you guys can talk about Kingdom Hearts for 7 hours.
Listen, we're going to talk about this for the next 12 weeks. We'll have plenty of time. I'm excited to play more. So, I didn't pull any news this week because the only news that happened was that Steve is in fucking Smash Brothers. So I hope
I did hear about that.
I hope all of you nerds are fucking happy.
Depending on how he plays, I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah,
I didn't see the whole thing.
There's gonna be like a demonstration of like what his actual mechanics are this Saturday. Sakurai is gonna do a stream.
It's like what I really want him to do is to place a block about like 1.5 times the height of his character, and to be able to just like place like 4 of those and have them just be there.
You can do that. They showed that in the trailer, so you can totally do that.
So you just inch one over the ledge.
Yeah,
for the ledge hammers.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I don't know.
Essentially, just another villager type character where it's like you just picked him to mess with people. Dude.
Yeah, it seems like that is how Steve might end up going, but I don't know. You know, it's one of those things where like all the DLC characters, like mechanically for Smash, have been like stellar. You know, there's so many cool, unique mechanics to each character. So, and it seems like this is going to be in a similar boat. It's funny to me that he just looks like himself. You know, Minecraft Steve just looks like fucking Minecraft. And there's also like the Enderman skin and the Alex skin and all that. So, yeah, some people are upset about this, but I'm not at all. I'm just making a joke. It makes complete perfect sense. Minecraft's one of the best-selling video games ever. It being in Smash makes a lot of sense. So,
if they can make it work,
yeah. And Sakurai can make it work.
I have faith. They made the villager work.
Yeah. They made Isabelle work, you know. They made so much.
And people like those characters.
Yeah, people play those
Ice
characters.
Climbers.
Yeah, they made Ice Climbers and fucking Game & Watch work. Like, let's everybody chill. There's 4 other characters, so if people were pissed about this, there's still other ones that you can have. It's Sora and Calm or whatever. Everyone calm down. That's it. I think that's the show. That's
at this point, I feel like people should still be mad about Fire Emblem.
Yeah, people should still be pissed about Byleth being another fucking Fire Emblem character after 7 of them are in the game or whatever.
Fire Emblem characters.
Nothing. There's just so many of them.
There's many of them. A good chunk of them play similarly enough as to where like you could pick a few out and to open up character slots, and a lot of people just would say, "Okay, that's fine."
Yeah, that's fine. No one would be
even
upset.
People that like the characters.
You could take Corinne out of that game, and I don't think anyone would be really upset. You know, Robin, Byleth, you could probably take them out too. That's the show, though. That's it. That's the podcast. Early show with a lot of anime, which is how it should always be. If you'd like to be a part of the show, you can do so by emailing us, mailsack@irrationalpatches.com, or leave us a voicemail at 404-590-1337, or sending your Twitter questions at irrationalpod with hashtag IPQ. For the site and everything Irrational Passions, you can follow on Twitter at irrationalpod. You can follow myself and Nobishin. I am Alfighter27. Nobishin's NABESHIN 186. He'll be back. We promise. I know he's missed like 2 episodes in a row, but he'll be back next week. Hopefully moved in and comfortable. Like I also, Tony, you, myself, and Nobishin have all now moved in 2020. Yep. It's time to catch up, Scott. That's all I'm saying.
I could.
Let's do it. Let's get Scott a house. For all of our video stuff, just Twitch and YouTube, look for Irrational Passions. I probably won't. I've been doing weekly Spelunky 2 streams. Have been super fun. I played a little co-op with Scott White last week. Yeah, it was last week. And that was a lot of fun, but there might not be one this week just because I would have done it normally over the weekend, and I'm going to be out of commission. But hopefully one early next week to make up for it. And if you like the show, rate and review us wherever you listen, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Google Play or whatever. And for everything else, irrationalpassions.com is the place to be. We've reached the end of the show. It's time for bets. I got to find out where Nobishin's at with bets. Or, you know, maybe he's just letting us catch up. On Friday, which is tomorrow, Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, comes out. I'm actually pretty excited about it. I think it'll be a fun game. How many jumps minimum will be required to beat the first
2
level? All right, 2 from Scott. Tony?
12.
Ooh, I was going to say 16. Now, I'm preferably not going to be the person that accomplishes this feat, but I will find someone that does, and we will go off of them.
What game were we talking about again?
Crash Bandicoot 4.
How many jumps to take to beat the?
Yeah, do you want to reassess?
Yeah, I didn't do the right bet, but you know what? I didn't change it before, people locked in their bets, so fair is fair.
Okay, 2 it is. Last week's bet, 2 weeks ago's bet, how many human figures will be on the back of the box of 13 Sentinels, the new game from Vanillaware? I said 7. Scott, you said 5. Tony said 13, which was a good guess because it was 12. Shout out to Sabrina Ray on Twitter for sending me a picture of the back of the box. You are a hero. But Tony, you won again, which brings... Ooh, it's getting close, dude. So I still have 3 points. Nobshin in the lead with 13. Scott with 7. Tony now have 10. Coming up on Nobshin's tails. Very excited to see where this goes.
Wow, I didn't know Nobshin had multiple tails.
Yeah, well, he plays a lot of Sonic games. I don't know how that would make sense at all.
This just in, Nobshin is a furry.
Yes. What's Nobshin's persona? We'll have to find out. Tune in next week.
I go break into his room and find his fursuit.
Yeah.
It's a chicken.
He's
the guy in the chicken suit at the concerts.
I knew it! It's not the T-Rex guy after all.
And Nobshin's always been there watching.
He's in
waiting.
the background of every fucking picture in that chicken suit. Yeah. He's the chicken from Family Guy. I know. It's fucking wild, but it's the truth come out. God, he's gonna be so pissed at us. That's the show. Thank you all so much for hanging out, for listening. Thanks to the folks that jumped in the chat while we were going live. I know Thursday is not our normal night, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Thank you to Danny Wiesner for opening music of Two Player Co-op and our closing music of The World is Saved. And thank you, Tony and Scott, for joining me. As always, I love you boys. Big hugs all the way around. I've been Alex O'Neill, your host this evening. Play your games. Stay rational. We will talk to you all next week. I wrote down 2 titles.
Give them to me.
Obviously, Pay to Waifu. And then the other one I wrote was Pact of the Impact, the #1 Genshin Impact fan cast, which I like a lot. What do you like? What do you guys like? Pay to Waifu, I feel like it's pretty... covers it all. I think we covered it.
I should say I can't take credit for that phrase. I did not coin that term.
Sure.
I did say it.
You said it. So it's canon.
That's right.
Scott, any indifference to Pay to Waifu over Pact of the Impact?
I think I liked it before you added the Pact of the Impact, to be perfectly honest.
Sure.
So I guess we'll go with Pay to Waifu.
Okay, fair enough. You guys want to say the number and title?
What's the number?
It is 483, titled Pay to Waifu.
You're listening to the Irrational Passions Podcast, episode 483.
Pay to Waifu.
Very good.
By the way, I forgot to mention, while I was waiting for games to come out, I watched a whole lot of Netflix.
Yeah?
That's what I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
I watched all of...
like three full seasons of House of Cards.
Nice. I watched all of Inuyasha recently.
Nice.
So I get that. Good night, everybody. We love you. Bye. I also...